Welcome to what may be the most beautiful, extreme, bewildering city on the entire planet. Welcome to the capital city of Bolivia, La Paz. This is the highest capital city in the world. Average elevation in the city center about 3,600 meters down there in that valley. But the thing about La Paz isn't even the highest city in La Paz. The highest city in La Paz is right here. This is the city of El Alto. They are in fact twin cities. So La Paz in the valley, meaning the peace, and El Alto up here, meaning the heights. If you put them together, they are just about the most populous city in Bolivia. Just over 2 million people, about the same as Santa Cruz de la Sierra. Separately, they're about 1 million each. El Alto is on its own the highest city in the world at 4,000 meters altitude. Over here, you can see the height Huayni Potosi Mountain over there. And where we started the video, this is another mountain, Ilumati. They are both over 6,000 meters high. The one there is 6,400 meters high. So yeah, you really are in the peak of the Andes up here. And El Alto especially is the most indigenous American city on the planet. So you put all these together, it's a pretty strong argument to be made that this is the center of South America. As we zoom into Bolivia, we will see La Paz situated just to the south of the Andean Cordillera Real in this valley to the east. Up to the west on the high plateau is the twin city of El Alto, separated by these steep cliffs between. We'll start today's tour down in the old town of La Paz at the bottom of the valley, before heading up by cable car to look at El Alto in more detail. We will then head south back into La Paz to check out the high-end district of Sopocachi and surrounding areas, before flying over the south of La Paz, known as Zona Sur. So I arrived here in La Paz Airport, actually El Alto Airport I should say. Highest international airport in the world, I think. Welcome to La Paz. I have arrived here today, and just by complete chance, it is also La Paz Day tomorrow, I believe. And so here on the 16th of July Avenue, there is a huge parade going on right now, as you can hear. This is pretty crazy. Massive street party going on as far as the eye can see. Kind of reminds me of when I was in Sao Paulo for Carnival in 2020. Colder. It's the morning after the night before, and everything seems to have ground to a halt in La Paz. Must be a public holiday for the La Paz anniversary day. Just a few sore heads, I imagine. We are now entering the main square of the city, and by extension, Bolivia itself. And on a purely visual level, you have to say it is absolutely stunning. This is Plaza Murillo, named after a Senor Murillo who was a Bolivian patriot who began fighting against the Spanish in, I believe, 1809. sparking the first independence movements in South America. He didn't last very long, sadly, and was hanged in this very square. And Bolivia was eventually the last country in South America to gain its independence in 1821. Partly because it's so remote, Spanish royalists were able to defend their positions here longer than elsewhere on the continent. But eventually Simón Bolívar and his allies took over and freed the country, which the country was named after him in a feminine form, not Bolivar but Bolivia. And find a way down here. And like all good city squares, it's full of pigeons and statues and ice cream. This is the city's main cathedral up ahead. Apparently never finished. I guess the Catholic Church was never entirely welcomed here. Had to be assimilated into local beliefs gradually. And over here is the presidential palace, the old one, on the bottom here, and above a more modern tower built by Evo Morales more recently. And head of the government is here to the left. This was the scene of the recent coup, or attempted coup, or fake coup, depending on your position on the matter. I was in Cochabamba at the time, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and watched footage on TV of the tank apparently trying to break through the door of the palace. But after a couple of hours of confrontation, everything came to a peaceful end, and President Arce retained his position as president. So who knows what happened? Maybe one day the truth will come out. Back at the presidential palace, we can see the Bolivian national flag in the center. On the left is the Huipala, which was given equal status by Evo Morales, representing the Andean indigenous groups of Bolivia, and by extension perhaps the other indigenous groups not in the Andes. And to the right, the Bolivian maritime flag. Bolivia once had a coastline but was lost to Chile in a war. This is just one of many streets in the Old Town Centre. Just to give you a little idea of what it feels like and looks like. Lots of local shops. You won't see many international brands here, except for really old ones like Kodak perhaps. Yeah, it's bustling. What day is it? Friday today, so it's end of the week, everyone's out shopping, making money. There's a sign for La Paz. Let's go onto the bridge. Stunning backdrop of kind of out edge of La Paz going up to the top, and on the other side of that ledge is the other city, the twin city of El Alto. You can see the cable car up there to the left. So yeah, this main road, which we're above now, is actually going over the original river that this city was built on. I can't remember or pronounce it, but I'll write it here. And the river is now a road, but there is still water going underneath it. And it has various names. I think further to the south it's called El Prado, which is the easiest one to remember. And yeah, this is the main thoroughfare of the city. I believe at one point it was used to separate the Spanish colonialists who lived on this side, which must be to the east, and the locals who lived over there to the west. And if you continue south, you'll also get to Sopocachi, which is where I'm staying. Crossing the bridge, we enter this concrete market, Mercado Lanza it is called. I wasn't going to film here, but then I just noticed all these amazing multi-angular MC Escher vibes going on. And Paz really is the multi-dimensional city of your dreams, or possibly your nightmares. And just the other side of that market, which you can see there, is this square, which is being renovated, or maybe the river underneath is being renovated. I remember coming here 4 years ago. And you can see the Plaza San Francisco sign, because this is the Church of San Francisco, Saint Francis as we call him in English. And this is a beautiful facade here. It's a bit tricky to film today because we're so close, but if you look closely at the walls, you'll see that attempts have been made to integrate the beliefs of the locals with the Catholic Church. So there are representations of Christian iconography with Pachamama and local beliefs, so images of plants, animals, local gods, deities. If you want to know more, I certainly recommend you take one of many tours which are available here to learn more from the locals and ask any questions you have. Okay, welcome to the Mercado de Brujas, or the Witches Market, which you may have heard of. This is also sort of a backpacker hotspot. I don't like to film people without their permission, which is why I'm the only person in my video, but I'm going to go by my shoulder. You might get some glimpse of what's on sale here in the Witches Market. Most famous for these preserved baby llamas, as they call them here. Say llamas in English, which are used to make offerings to Pachamama, the gods. See, back in the day, they used to use young children, so I guess it's certainly an improvement on that. Yeah, these beliefs are very much still alive in La Paz, and why not? All respect to them for setting their traditions into the 21st century. This is now the main kind of street for the tourists. You always know it's a tourist street when they got umbrellas up ahead. And no, that's not that. I'm kind of excited to come here because when I was here 4 years ago in March 2020, it was a building I stayed in just for 2 nights, I think it was. I made a video about it the other day. Unfortunately, I think because I did it in vertical, I haven't got many views yet, but hopefully one day. This is where I was staying when I found out that all the borders to Peru and everywhere else in South America were closing, and I waited a bit longer and got the news that the border to Bolivia will close in 3 days, which was the lifeline I needed to get out the country and get back to the UK. It was all up there. So now you know, check out that other video, trying to escape Bolivia. For now, it's great to see it all lively again. When I was here before, everything was closing down, so there was not much happening. As you can see, everything is pretty much back to normal now. And here we are in this touristy area near the Witches Market. And you can see there are a lot of tour agencies here. A lot of options that you can do from La Paz. So lots of 5,000 plus, 6,000 plus mountains if you're feeling particularly adventurous. See trips to nearby attractions like Cholita Wrestling over there, or into the north, Ruinabaca and the Amazon and the Pampas. Or of course the other popular one is the Death Road bicycling trip, which I'm sure I will be doing at some point soon. Here's another plaza to the north of the Witches Market, name in the subtitles. Apparently this is a good place to catch a minibus because there's tons of them going round and round. I just love the design of this city. It's just incredible. Just streets going off at every angle. Apparently this is a great street to get drunk on. It's just booze shop after booze shop after booze shop. This city is incredible. Look at it, it's kind of insane. Just layers of construction all layered on top of each other. Stairs and bridges and tunnels and roundabouts and general urban chaos, but a beautiful chaos. Heading north to find the orange line because I want to go up to the top of El Alto. Oh, there it is. So if you get stuck, look up. Maybe it will help you. I can find where that line ends. Here somewhere. Should I go left or right? Let's try right. Okay, here is the central station on the orange line. This is what I was looking for, and it's must be called Central Station, not because it's in the middle of La Paz, but this must be the old train station, which from the looks of it is no longer in use. But that's a nice little area anyway. In fact, La Paz is two cities in one. I'm actually standing in El Alto, which is the sister city of La Paz, as you can see from this sign here. Standing at 4,950 meters high. This is kind of interesting looking. Centro Cultural. These little rooms, fires going on. Go on some kind of spiritual journey. I have just come to the end of the blue line in El Alto. I was actually planning on staying on the same cable car and going back again, but the cleaner kind of wagged her finger at me, so I got off, came through the gates, and yeah, this is the far end of the blue line, El Alto. Pretty interesting place. There's the local ladies selling the herbs, plants on the road here. This road is actually unfinished. This is heading back towards La Paz, but it is not yet done. So at the moment, it seems it's just being used as a massive impromptu marketplace. And with this being the most, indigenous city in the whole of the Americas, you could say El Alto is the most American city in the whole of the Americas, in its own way. And from this point, the road carries on out of the city to the west, to the Altiplano, and beyond that, to Peru. Okay, so I am now on the blue line. I've actually just left the end of the blue line, heading back into the center of El Alto and La Paz. So this is pretty much the edge of El Alto. You can see the Altiplano in the background there, perhaps. And this is El Alto, yeah. The highest city in the world. There are some higher small towns perhaps in the world, but this is the biggest city. And what an incredible sight it is. There's Illimani Mountain in the background, kind of to the south or southeast of La Paz. And as we look around here to the north, you can see the peak of Huayna Potosi, just over 6,000 meters high. It is said to be one of the easiest 6,000 meter mountains in the world to climb. And there are tours going there from La Paz. I am considering going up there myself, although seeing it for the first time and its 6,000 meter icy glory does fill me with a sense of trepidation. I'm really not sure I'm physically up to walking that high. I've never been that high in my life, certainly not walking uphill. I imagine it seriously takes your breath away. It is one of the most unique and incredible looking cities in the world. A sea of brick at 4,000 meters high with mountains around it. Apparently it only started to come together in the early 1900s and kind of overspilled to La Paz. See the people playing football, 4,000 meters high, which must give them a bit of a home advantage. If we're not into football so much, we can do a bit of indoor football here, or even a game of high altitude squash. We come to this main road in El Alto. Here's a nice example of a transformer building. Just wandering around this strange kind of industrial shop house market area in El Alto, just to get a little feel for it. Strangely reminds me of when I was in China 20 years ago. Not the nice modern bit of China on the coast, but I was in the far interior in Shanxi province. But it's a topic for another day.
Avenida Panamericana, puerta terminal, terminal, recaudación terminal, truffic terminal. Avenida Panamericana, puerta terminal, terminal, recaudación terminal, truffic terminal. Avenida Panamericana.
When you're down to your final Boliviano, you can thank me later. When in Rome, this station here is home to possibly the finest fried chicken restaurant on the planet, due to the amazing view at the end overlooking La Paz. As to the north of Plaza Sucre is this nice fresh market. Fruits and vegetables, flowers. Umbrellas that are not meant for people like me. Shall we go? I believe the ethnic majority here are the Aymara people, who are known to live in the highest altitudes of the Middle Andes, mostly in Peru and Bolivia. Whereas in the slightly lower altitudes are the Quechua people. Both have their own language, and I believe the Incas actually spoke Quechua as well. That was the lingua franca during the Inca times. They're in the slightly lower altitudes and over a wider area of the Andes. So for example, I was in Cochabamba before this, and the majority of people there were Quechua, and we're about to head down into the market again, where you'll see most of the stalls being run by these local ladies, known as cholitas in Spanish, certainly. And they love to wear these amazing outfits. Apparently the big frilly skirts came from the Spanish days when, I don't know if the Spanish ladies or just merchants came over here with these big skirts with metal, what do you call them, metal grills, holding them up, flamenco style, and they went down a hit in Bolivia and became the kind of favourite dress of the locals. And the bowler hats actually came from the English and other workers who were here building the trains in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and somehow became a woman's fashion item here. Still 100 years later to this day, they are still hot property. I think the bowler hats are more for the Aymara ladies up here, and in Cochabamba they were wearing these wide brim hats to keep the sun off. So here we are back in the market. You can see for yourself. We are in their domain.
Voy a colaborar.
This is Plaza Sucre, named after this gentleman in the middle, Senor Sucre, one of Simon Bolivar's allies, who assisted in the liberation of Bolivia, and who also gave his name to the founding capital, Sucre. This plaza is also known for the building in front of me now, which you would know it if you're just walking past it, but it is in fact one of Bolivia's most notorious prison. Some kids here getting dressed up for something. There's always something going on in these plazas. But yeah, this building here is Bolivia's most notorious prison, which sadly happens to be right in the middle of the city. There's a book about it apparently called Marching Powder, written by some foreigners, which I haven't read, if you want more information. But I heard a little bit about it, and it sounds pretty hardcore. Not somewhere you want to go under any circumstance. Unlike prisons in my country, where taxpayers pay for you to sit around and watch TV and play games and take drugs, here you have to look after yourself. So as a result, the place runs itself, and apparently the budget only stretches to about 5 guards who work on the doors, and inside the prison it's a self-sustaining, self-run community. Wives and children are allowed inside, and the prison runs itself. Crazy. In case you're wondering, this is what it looks like from above. Just came for lunch in a nearby cafe, and there it is. I assumed there was a roof on top, but there is not. That's what it looks like. So here in Plaza del Bicentenario, and basically every square that I go to in this area, they like to practice their line dancing day and night. Exactly. So, this is Plaza del Bicentenario, which is a continuation of El Prado from the north. And as you come down to the south, to this point, the road underneath splits into two. And to the right hand side we enter the area of Sopocachi, and I believe to the left is more San Jorge area, which gives you access to the El Teleferico. This is Plaza Isabella de Catolica in San Jorge. Sopocachi is just up there. This is about as glitzy as it gets as far as I can see. It's a beautiful roundabout kind of plaza. If you're in a Sopocachi, you should know that Del Poeta Teleferico station on the White Line has an entrance here. You cross over and go down the elevator, and it takes you to the White Line. First time I was looking for that station, I did not know about that, and ended up crossing the bridge over the canyon and going down the other side and getting completely lost. Near Sopocachi Teleferico station, there's this high altitude garden here. You can come and get your ding-a-ling on with your girlfriend or your boyfriend and get this beautiful view. Let's go through the archway. of Illimani and the full moon. So it's gone 9 o'clock and 6 degrees here in the middle of winter. But as you can hear, the party never stops in La Paz. Dancing always continues. We're in Sopicachi in Plaza Abaroa. As you can see, it's bustling. Let's have a little look around. You've got to love it, really. So, if anyone knows more about what's going on than I do, please tell me in the comments. There's this dancing going on all year round in every plaza, because that's how it seems to me at the moment. It's rather a beautiful thing. There's another gang up here hanging out. It's a nice modern plaza, loads of lights everywhere. Statue of the man who it's named after in the middle here. So yeah, I was not expecting La Paz to be the dance capital of the world, but that is how it seems to be. I heard from a few people that Huayna Potosi is one of the world's easiest 6,000 meter mountains to climb, just north of La Paz here. However, I've never ever walked anywhere close to 6,000 meters. It's pretty high. So I was thinking about it, and just to see if my knees and lungs are up to it, I'm doing a little test walk here from Sopicachi in the south of La Paz, heading up to El Alto, which is an elevation of about 500 meters, from 3,500 to 4,000 meters, which should hopefully give me some idea whether I'm physically capable or not. So far so good. I just have to keep going up to the top of El Alto there. Getting a bit steeper here on the edge of La Paz. Even the bus is struggling a bit. And it just gets steeper and steeper the higher you go. Top of El Alto. Look at that. What a city this is. Getting there. There is the option of these yellow steps going straight up, but I think I'd rather stick to the main road, if anything, just because I prefer walking on a slope than steps. And I've just got a view of the mountain itself that I'm training for, to the north, Huayna Potosi. On my way back, walking down this street somewhere in West La Paz, thinking about what to eat for lunch. I was going to get an almuerzo. They have these set lunch menus. Usually get a soup and a choice of 3 or 4 dishes after that, and a little dessert. Bunch of fried chicken everywhere as well. In the end, first time trying this dish here, Chucky Can. They have a bed of corn at the bottom, some beautiful potatoes, shredded meat, cheese, and even some boiled eggs over here, and spicy sauce, which comes with most dishes. If you're looking for a quick half day out from La Paz, you could come check this place out. This is Valle de la Luna, named because apparently Neil Armstrong came here and remarked that it reminded him of the moon. I've just arrived. Can't see most of it from here, but very interesting. And the journey here on the Green Line is worth it in itself. Also, in the same direction, further out of town, is, I believe that is it, in fact, the Devil's Tooth Rock Formation. And further out is somewhere called the Valle de la Animas, which I haven't been to, but you could check that out as well. It's nice to finally come here. I was very nearly here 4 years ago in March 2020 as COVID was taking over the world. Find myself in La Paz for just 2 nights, but I spent most of that time looking for information when the borders were closing and searching for flights out the country. But I finally found a few hours free, during which I rode around the city in the cable cars and actually came all the way to the end of the Green Line over there, meaning to come to Valle de la Luna, but it was getting a bit late in the day, so I changed my mind and went back into the city, promising myself I would return here one day to continue my journey from La Paz. So it's quite a nice little moment for myself just to finally make it here again, carry on my journey. And some more spectacular views as we fly along the Green Line over Zona Sur, the southern area of La Paz, a relatively well-to-do district. Good morning, La Paz. It's 8 o'clock in the morning and the parades have already been going for some time. La Paz is the city of parades. The main street of the city. As far as I'm aware, it's a university parade with students representing all the different indigenous groups and different areas of the country, all coming together to celebrate Bolivia, along with any other groups that want to join in. Now I'm in it, actually in the parade, from me to you. follow the angels. I must admit I have rather fallen for La Paz in the time I've been here. If anything, just for the extreme marriage of geography and civil engineering. As I walk down this diagonal bridge over a steep ravine in the middle of the city, cable cars going underneath me and so on. Beautiful mountains all the way around it. Of course, you've got two cities to explore, La Paz and El Alto. And yeah, they're great cities. They're surprisingly modern. I thought, from my memories last time being here, I remember it being very old-fashioned, but I guess it was just down to everything closing down due to COVID. But here in Sopocachi, it's very modern. Some nice places to stay and eat if you're into that. Or you can go into the old town where it's a bit more traditional and explore the other areas of the city as well. People are very pleasant, polite, charming, friendly. And yeah, Bolivian food is actually rather good. If you like hearty meals, nice simple cooking, although they do have some spicy options as well. So yeah, unfortunately I do have to leave here at some point, but I will be rather sad to leave. I've rather enjoyed my time here in La Paz. I feel like I've been here for like a month, but it's been more like 2.5 weeks, but sadly it is finally time to leave La Paz. Going there to Copacabana, Lake Titicaca. So yeah, time to say goodbye to this amazing city in the sky.